It's the Underpowered Hour. On this week's show, we're joined by Ralf SAREK from SAREK Autowerke and Liza and Jenna for some exciting Rebelle Rally news. And now, without further delay, here's the show. Welcome to the Underpowered Hour. I'm Steve Barris, mild-mannered television executive by day and Land Rover collector by night. You can find out more about our cars and what we're working on at thebarriscollection.com or follow us on Instagram at thebarriscollection. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Ike.
Thank you to everyone joining us today. I'm the worn-out tractor joint to Steven's CV joint. I am the mysterious whirring of podcasting, Ike. I own and operate Pangolin 4x4 in Springfield, Oregon, where we live and breathe Land Rovers. Check us out online on Facebook, Instagram at Pangolin 4x4. Let's get started.
All right, Ike and Jenna and Liza and very special guest, Ralf SAREK, our buddy from SAREK Autowerke out there on the far East Coast, all the way on the other side of the country. How are things this morning, Ralf? How are you?
Doing very well. It's a beautiful morning this morning here on the East Coast.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we'll get on to the reason that you're joining us in a moment, but first, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the latest in what we here at the Underpowered Hour are calling Tariff Gate. And,
boy. It's a rough week to be a British car manufacturer whose main profits come from North America at the moment.
Yeah, news this week came down that Land Rover Jaguar North America, more quickly known as JLR, has decided to just stop bringing cars here. They're just going to leave them in the UK and just sort of hope for the best. They feel like that their numbers of cars sitting on lots here is pretty good and that they won't need to bring any more cars here ever again. So not sure how
I don't think that's how that works.
Is going to
I don't think that's what they're thinking. I think you're wrong.
It's good for the used market.
Yeah, it's great for the used market. Also, thankfully, Land Rovers don't need any new parts ever, as once you've purchased them, they run perfectly without maintenance forever. So, yeah, also they're going to stop bringing parts in. So it's just what you got is what you got. I'm sure it'll work out fine.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Ike and Ralf, have you guys noticed any increase in that tariff cost back into parts that you're bringing over, or is it still a bit premature for that?
Yeah, the short answer is we had a container come in a couple of weeks ago. Fine. Yep. But we have an upcoming shipment coming from the UK, and I fully expect to have to pay a significant amount of tariff on that shipment.
Directly to Peter Navarro? Is that the...
Directly to Peter Navarro.
Right.
It's actually they send you an email, it's just his Venmo.
It's just his Venmo. You just Venmo him, eh? Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah, I've experienced it firsthand. I had a delivery just come in. It came in on April 3rd, the UK, and it arrived here on the 3rd, and supposedly the tariffs were supposed to be the 5th, right? So I'm like, snuck right in there at the last second.
Goodness.
Well, I'm watching the tracking, and then it sits there till the 4th, and it sits there till the 5th, and then they're like, great news, you've cleared customs. Oh, and by the way, here's your bill. And yes, I got hit with 10%. Had to pay that. It was a DHL thing. So with DHL, you have to pay it right out of the gate and then they release it. So yeah, even the folks that think, oh, well, it's going to land there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could contest it, but.
All the parts in your shipment, were they UK origin parts?
Correct. Yeah. This is the new red winches thing. So, luckily for us, it's they make everything there. So we, of course, had to give proof of that. But once they did, it was the good news is the UK, it's only currently 10% if it's not an auto part. And luckily, winches and hoists are still considered an appliance in a sense. So they're in their own capstan winch era.
Wow.
Field. So we're a little fortunate with that 10% being the lowest, I guess is good thing. I'm still trying to wrap our head around. But yes, you receive a bill and someone like myself or Ike, unfortunately, at this point, would have to pay the tariff and then figure out how we would move forward, either losing margin or passing that on to the customer. The end user.
Right. It's going to be an interesting few months here as we figure out what's going to happen with these tariffs, and it sounds like countries are lining up to negotiate, whatever that means. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
to Ralph's point earlier about the used car market, I've gotten no fewer than about 6 emails from the 2 dealerships that are closest to me, where I sometimes bring my car in for service. And they're looking at this as an opportunity to clear the lot of their inventory. And they're willing to buy back cars right now, knowing that inventory is going to be a little slim pickings by the end of the month.
Is this going to be COVID all over again, where you just can't buy a car?
Where used cars cost just as much as their new counterpart.
It's fantastic. I have an F-Type that I'm about to sell, so I'm just waiting until that hits
hold out.
Yeah, peak market value, and then let me know if you're interested. Yeah. It's going to be good. Well, speaking of cars that can't leave the UK, there's some spy photos this week of our friends at JLR testing the new Baby Defender. As everyone, like Baby Yoda, the name has really caught on. And despite Jon Favreau not wanting you to call it Baby Yoda, there's not a single human being on Earth that doesn't. And so I believe that Baby Defender is going to stick, and that they should lean into the marketing, like a Fisher-Price kind of marketing campaign around it. And yeah, it does in fact look like a Baby Defender. Our hope, of course, was that they would call it the 80-inch. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Baby 80 doesn't really roll off the tongue.
Or does it? I don't know.
Baby 80? Oh, that's all I'm calling it from now on. Forever and ever.
Baby 80. I like it.
The Baby
That's
80.
a good one.
Absolutely. That's actually my
flip-flop to 80 baby. 80 baby.
80 baby.
Yeah. 80 baby. That's actually my grinder handle. So
Hopefully.
yeah. But yeah, so it's interesting again, as all of these do, like a Ford Explorer in camo. So we'll see. It's got lots of like sticky on-y bits all around the outside. It's like the Con Automotive guys have already gotten to it. But yeah, it looks smaller, I guess. It's about the size of a Freelander. And
Could it be the new Freelander?
This whole Baby Defender thing is just a smokescreen.
It's a
Thank God.
Wouldn't that be incredible? The return.
It's just unsold Freelander chassis.
God, I hope so. Anyways, yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, it looks tinier. It looks sporty. I don't know. And I'm not sure, the Discovery Sport, which is just the Freelander too, they didn't really go sporty like they did with the Range Rover Sport, which is like actually a sports car kind of a thing. Wonder if the Defender will be like I guess they do call it the Bronco Sport, don't they? The Baby Bronco.
I mean, this is clearly, it's the same idea, right? Going after the same market, the Bronco Sport. And I see Bronco Sports everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
Although a Diet Defender is not exactly what I am in the market for, I'm sure there are plenty of people that are going to see that and go for it because, it will check a lot of boxes for people. I'm not that people. Yeah. It'll check a lot of boxes.
It will. The price point will be right. Hopefully, comparison. They'll go to the dealer and then be like, "Well, I'll buy this. I'll buy the Baby 80."
The Baby 80.
It's close
80.
enough, and it
Yeah.
piggybacks on that Defender mark, which is doing extremely well.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Just reminds me of my condescending uncle. Sport, slugger, champ.
Yeah. Right?
Champ.
Chief. Chief. Yeah. Hey, Chief.
Come here, champ.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's like Joe Eberhardt's, all of our like condescending older uncle. Poor Joe.
I have no doubt that the Defender Sport is going to do quite well, but it does bring us back to why the Discovery exists in the way that it does at the moment. Like the Discovery and the Discovery Sport are not doing anything that Defender and Range Rover aren't doing on the other ends of the spectrum. And Discovery still needs to find its way a little bit.
I believe they can still import those cars because everyone has forgotten they exist.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Just sneak them in. No big deal. Well, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm a customer either for the Baby Defender, but maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see what it.
Maybe 80.
Do we have a date for this thing to be unveiled?
No date, no specs, just some very intentional
photos.
spy photos. Yeah. So
I've heard 2027, but that's probably random speculation.
We'll see. I mean, maybe never because we won't get Land Rovers here anymore. I don't know. We'll see.
That's true.
We'll have to see. It'll be the Toyota Hilux. We'll just do that.
All right, we're starting a new hashtag on Instagram for the Baby 80.
Baby 80,
And
It's
we're going to
taken
see
off.
how well it catches on.
No, we're going to
I'm
take
putting
we're
it in all my posts.
That's right. We'll take
Perfect.
that.
Be like,
all-
what is that? What are they talking about?
Just,
you should click
you
on
just
it.
wait and see. Wait and
If
see.
they just keep that camo wrap on it, maybe they can bring it in as a Ford Explorer and
That's right.
avoid the tariffs.
Avoid
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Speaking of bringing it in, the reason that we've brought the three of you in today to talk about some very exciting developments in the world of Liza and Jenna. And as it is becoming a small empire over there with Liza and Jenna and their aspirations to do things. But Liza and Jenna, why don't you...
I'm telling
why
you,
don't
it's a full-time job. And we are leaning into it real hard these days.
You really are. So tell us what's brewing right now. I mean, we also will check in on the event that you guys were all in with ANARC here close to the end of the show. But first, what's happening over there?
I feel like we need a drum roll. Is there a drum roll?
Exactly. I feel like there's a lot of anticipation. Anybody who follows our Instagram account already got a sneak peek of this while we were in New Mexico. But we are incredibly thrilled and incredibly excited to be able to share this year for the Rebelle Rally, which is the 10th Rebelle Rally. It's going to be a big deal. We are privileged enough to get to drive Ralph's incredible Defender 90, not a Baby 80, a Defender 90, the SAREK 90. It has its own Instagram account. And we are really thrilled to get to drive this beast of a vehicle that Ralf has so graciously offered us. And yeah, we're super thrilled about it. And thrilled that we get to announce it so early in the year instead of waiting until September to tell everybody what we're driving.
That's awesome.
It's great. It's a beast, but it's like a compact beast. It's a baby beast.
Baby 80.
Baby 90. So in the past 2 years running the newer Defenders, we've been in the bone stock category. So we've not had any modifications to the car other than, potentially tires. This year, with the 90, we will not be running in the bone stock category, and that gives us this great opportunity to have some added bonus features, let's say, to the car, some upgrades, which is going to be really cool. So that would be
when we
amazing.
talk about it being a beast, it's a glorious, beautiful beast.
It is
we are
quite an elevation from the stock
Yeah.
Land Rover Defender that you've driven in the past.
I feel like it's just going to Pac-Man down the trail, just munch, just
eating up Bronco Sports along the way.
Yeah. I will say it has 35-inch tires on it, but somehow they don't look like that big on it. Like when you look at the car, you wouldn't think it has 35s on it. And I'm pretty excited about that because every year, our dear friend, Miss Laura Wanless, who is a fantastic competitor in the Rebelle, she always just rolls up next to us or behind us with her Raptor, and she's got big 35s on there, and she just like smokes us. And she's like, I don't know, she just, as you're passing, you see those big 35s out the car window. And this year, I feel like we're going to be just like, rubbing elbows with her with those 35s. It's pretty exciting.
It's the arms race in the Rebelle Rally.
It is. It's a Cold War of, What dinosaur are you going to name your car after? Are you going to Dilophosaurus? The one that...
But only because Jenna spits at everybody out the window as we pass.
right,
Maybe it's the Triceratops.
Oh.
Done. New hashtag.
Well played.
New hashtag.
Wow.
That's the
New
Triceratops.
hashtag.
All right, we've got a theme for the wrap.
I don't think
good.
that can be topped.
No, I'm done.
Not even going to try.
Nope. No.
Well done.
Wow.
Well
wow.
done.
Wow.
But yeah, Ralf has done some amazing modifications. So for anybody who doesn't know SAREK Autowerke out in Virginia, they do really amazing modifications, not just for Land Rover. You guys are getting into Toyotas and stuff now too. Is that right?
A little bit, yeah. We're checking the market a little bit.
Dipping
but
your toe in.
It's the pickup truck world, which we're, always fascinated with. So.
Yeah.
Those are made in the U.S. too, so smart.
So
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, you can actually get those here.
Well, Tacomas are built in Mexico, so we'll see what happens there. But we just focus very heavily on purpose built. It's just what we have developed a path forward utilizing as bone stock of a vehicle as possible to minimize failure. And, so our truck is coil sprung. It doesn't have all that fancy air suspension, none of that dynamic stability stuff, or any of the fancy gizmos that we can avoid that don't offer what I feel is to be too much benefit. We try to minimize, and we've built some what we call stage builds that sort of encompass that at different levels. And it goes back to the era that, I remember and you guys also remember, which is, put a little lift on it, put some good quality, a little bit oversized tires on it and go out and, have fun. Well, that's where like our stage one starts. It's just a very no nonsense coil spring lift, some tires, and a good way to self-recover, which would be a bumper and a winch. And then things just move up from that, from re-gearing to skid plates to roof racks to, and we're trying to keep everything very lightweight. So a lot of aluminum used, bumpers, roof racks. Everything is trying to maintain a level of attempting to keep a heavy vehicle as light as possible. We'll have some durability, which always has its, pros and cons, but we feel we've really dialed it in. And the 90s been kind of at the forefront of building and prototyping.
And that vehicle, what stage would you say that represents?
Well, the 90 is about as stage built as it can be. So it is a stage 3, and it does have some added things that are not currently in the, in the catalog of stage 3, which would be, it actually has a selectable rear locker. We do not like or care to use the electronic locking diff that's optional in the Defender. It just has its nuances, but long and the short, we like to be able to select it, lock it when we need it, unlock it when we don't need it. It's also good for fail-safe. If you break an axle, you can lock the diff and you can still drive out. And it's stronger. The ARB unit is cross-pinned, and it actually is a more durable, stronger diff. So we've developed our own rear locker kit, in a sense, for the new Defenders, including the Discovery 5s and Range Rovers, but generally for the Defender to offer a way to add a selectable locker. So the 90 does have that. It does have our, still soon to come to market Öhlins suspension system on it. Mm-hmm. Remote reservoir is all tuned. I don't know.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, so good.
Coming from the navigator who has to be on the passenger seat being bounced around while looking at a map.
Yeah, so it rides really nice. It's been tuned by Öhlins in North Carolina. So it was on the shake rig just a couple weeks ago, getting, shaken and stirred, as you call it, to dial it in.
Do you get to sit in it while they do that?
You can, but I don't think you'd want to. It is funny what you see that creates a resonance when that thing starts shaking.
Yeah.
You see things moving around that normally you'd be like, oh, that moves like that when it hits a certain frequency, but a really cool thing to witness.
You just have a button that's the brown note.
Yeah, exactly. It'll hit just right. But yeah, amongst that, those are the kind of the added features that normally a stage build doesn't necessarily get a la carte. It would be something that a client, which a few clients have gone with the re-gearing for the 35. So we put 444 gear sets in, which the 4-cylinder tends to have the 410s in it. It offsets that ratio and gets the pep back into the vehicle to feel like it still has that power. So the 90 does have that. So yeah, it's been sort of the test kitchen, and then we've pushed it very hard and tested very heavily, and we've had some failures and we've had some repairs. But all in all, it's been a very solid flagship. And again, at almost 120,000 miles on it now, it's been tested all over the country. So
yeah, it's so exciting to get to drive a car that has been shaken out as much as it has. Like the trust we sort of have in all of these modifications that SAREK has put into it is like he's taken it and driven the heck out of that thing and made sure that it's going to hold up for us. And the engineering of him and his team behind all of this is really, it's thrilling and it's fun. And it's fun to not be in a bone stock category this year.
Oh my God. We were just in New Mexico with Ralf at the ANARC training event. And that was our first opportunity to actually, be in the car, be around the car, sit in the car, drive the car. And so that was it worked out really nicely that we could all be at that event. And Liza and I went out on the little test course, and we got to this one little rocky, slippy dirt, loose dirt, but like rock ledges, little obstacle. And they had told us, to be careful with the trail, like to not tear up the trail. So try to really avoid wheel spin on their little test trail. So we got up to this little obstacle, and it was, kind of started to lose traction, and could have gone backwards and hit it harder probably and popped over it. But instead I was like, Liza, check this out. And I hit the little locker button, just like, boop. And then it just like perfectly like ooched up this little ledge.
And I had the windows rolled down and I chuckled. I chuckled with glee so loud that like Ralph and everybody else that was a good half a mile away from us could hear my cackle of delight as the wheels are turning in my head going, oh, this is going to be so great. I can think of like at least 10 obstacles last year that we could have used this on. And like,
it was
it's
so
gonna be
good.
so good.
Yeah. So very excited. In addition to like having, beefy tires and all this amazing performance kit on the car, it also has significant underbody protection, which is good for all those whoops, which Steven and Ike experienced firsthand last year.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we could use a little of that. It's all right. Starters bolted in there really well.
Did that Discovery ever recover from?
Yeah, it's fine. That's, I'm sure, not even the worst thing
My
it's ever.
spine hasn't, but...
No, but it's it's going to be great. And, having looked at the underbody of the previous two Defenders, that protection is definitely warranted.
Yeah, I think last one had a cute little dimple chin at the end.
It got a little,
Just a wee one.
But it didn't have anything under there to protect it.
That's
right.
right.
Be quiet. They're going to send you a bill.
That's the only way they're making money right now.
Yeah.
That's right. So, it's absolutely an incredible vehicle, and it does feel like an evolution of your sort of ability to compete and to have, just like, our good friends at Ford have the racing program at Ford build those Braptors. Who needs Ford Racing when you have Ralf SAREK? That's the,
Couldn't have said it better.
The moral of this story, we'll give those guys in Detroit a run for their money. And I think it's going to be absolutely spectacular. Not just that it looks like a rally car and it looks like it's ready to, to drive over anything, but also, like you've said, it's got the testing behind it, which is, I think, really separates, those factory built, race cars from, someone just bringing a car. Is that, that's what those teams have done. They've done the shaking, they've done the testing, they've done the braking and the fixing, and now you guys have as well. So that's very exciting. I certainly can't wait. What better way to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Rebelle Rally? I believe that the traditional 10th anniversary gift is Defender 90. So, right on.
Perfect.
Or paper.
Perfect.
Or paper. One of the two. I don't know. Anyways,
One of the two.
But,
It's the
one of the
plastic
two.
anniversary.
it's the
isn't it?
plastic anniversary. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, it's not only are we really excited, but we were at this ANARC event in New Mexico, and everybody we told there, they were really excited for us, and everybody sees, what a great partnership it is, and how it really does kind of show the power of the Land Rover community coming together. It was actually Ralf who approached us after Destination Defender. We all got together there, and then we had Ralf and his wife come out to the workshop and see what, we were doing out there. And it was, I think, Ralf, you said on the way home that Kathleen said, you should maybe get involved in this.
Well, I wouldn't say maybe. I will tell you, I will give Kathleen, a lot of credit in this. She was very much enamored with Liza and Jenna and all they've achieved. And then, meeting, of course, when Steven, you were so graciously, invited us, to the workshop. Then we got the chance to meet all of you in the family, and then leaving there, yes, we had plenty of time to start discussions. And again, I will tell you, the 90 wasn't originally on the radar. And again, I didn't really know what to expect. I just, Kathleen and I just really wanted to be involved. And we basically approached it as, how can we be there, whether it's a supporting role, whatever it may be. And that's kind of the short story on, once we had our first discussion, all of a sudden I realized these two ladies really want to win. And there was not so much the, need to have to stay in a stock vehicle. And I'm like, well, we were all talking, I think, on that, Zoom call. And it sort of was just like, why aren't you driving?
We all
the
had
90?
light
Like,
bulbs.
what are we doing here talking about a new vehicle? And, and I'm like, this is what we should do. If you want to win, let's put you in the tested vehicle and, make sure it's set up the way you want it, do everything we can, and let's win this thing.
Yeah.
And that's when everything kind of changed, like the whole dynamic changed. But I will say my wife did put me on the right path. And now
She's
all
the
of this
smartest
happening.
one in the bunch.
Yes. Yeah. But she knows. She
question.
looks at the situation and she knows. And she's like, you really should do something, or we should do something in a sense. My wife's a big part of the business, Tom.
Yeah.
That all started the whole fantastic ride. And then New Mexico was just the icing on the cake so far. So it's been really fun to get to know you, to just look forward to what's going to be happening in the future.
I can't.
Yeah, I'm
wait.
excited to see this this vehicle in action, and that's kind of neat to hear the genesis of how it's come to be on the Rebelle Rally. That's going to be really cool.
Ralph and I got to spend some quality time together in New Mexico in the car.
Yeah, let's talk about New Mexico a little bit. So before we wrap up here, as we're getting a little short on time, but what was the sort of ethos of that event, Ralph? I know you were sort of involved from the outset, and then our good friend Bob Steele, of course, evangelist in all senses of the word, spiritual, emotional, architectural, everything you can be, sort of didn't make it optional for at least Liza and Jenna to join. Definitely wanted Ike and I there as well, but unfortunately we couldn't make it out. But this event was to build the kind of the training community through ANARC, right? The trail leader and really to sort of enrich that club level of trail lead.
Absolutely. And I was, being a sponsor, heard, and this was Bob's kind of pitch to Chris Cole and team out there in New Mexico to just have something different like this. And when I heard about it, I'm just like, I heard the plan about nominating 2 people in your club and, each club sends 2 people. And I'm just like, how am I going to get there? Like, I must find a way, because I love stuff like that. It's just different.
Yeah.
And training to me is like, something that's extremely important, and I've learned so much doing it, but I was able to, talk to Bob and find out how I could be of assistance along with being a sponsor, and then just saying, hey, is there any way can I, be a part of this, even though it may be in an unofficial way. And I was very fortunate to get that chance to do the training and to meet everybody there. And it was, yes, that's off to Bob. I mean, he has the vision and he executes it, and he did it once again on this event. I couldn't thank him enough for the opportunity.
Great guy, real enthusiast. I was sorry to miss it. Yeah.
I really feel like this event was it was amazing, and it was different than anybody expected, but everyone came away from it like so transformed by the experience and like very grateful to have been a part of it. And I think it's going to be one of those events where it hopefully is repeated, maybe annually or every other year or something. Like, I feel like this could really be a flagship event for ANARC, and that in a way that's different than any of the other activities they participate in. So like, it's great that they support, local club events and, like rallies, but this is something that's really unique and special that they're able to facilitate, that a club would not be able to facilitate on their own. And I think he's really kind of just like scratched the surface on something very important. And like, I think it's an opportunity for ANARC to really demonstrate that value. This is a real clear example of how ANARC can be of immense value to those clubs.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think any club that sent members along to that event will reap immediate benefits. It was so much more than just going and learning how to use some snatch blocks and, deepen some rigging skills. It was way, way, way more than that. And it really instilled, I think, this sense of trail responsibility and about leadership within clubs, and how do you have a better environment to lead events within your club that really sort of take on the responsibility that goes with it. And everybody just came away so inspired and so, like Jenna said, so transformed. And yeah, it was so much more than anybody expected it to be. And what an incredible privilege, because this is incredibly unique. And I think, the Land Rover community, we all talked about how important our community is. And I really saw it firsthand, how much people cared about this community, that it really knocked my socks off. It really blew me away. And it was a real privilege to get to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like there were 14 clubs represented at the event.
Wow.
And so like from all over the country, including Canada. And, I feel like just the bond we now have, it's like we have like a ride or die kind of relationship now with those people that were at this event. Like it's pretty special. Like I definitely feel much, closer. Like there's a connection now to all these people that I casually knew before, but It's elevated.
Lots of incredible people there. Bill Burke was there. Of course,
Yeah.
Texas Pete, which means maybe a pickle or two.
There were a lot of pickles.
Yeah.
Cases of pickles.
Joey Pitts was there.
Yeah.
Eric
Oh,
Brown.
that's
Yeah.
right.
All
Joey
these,
was there.
all these
Yeah,
great
fantastic.
instructors too.
Chris Nelson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris.
And then, of course, Chris and James of Safe Extract, who are our hosts and also trainers, who are amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Safe Extract stuff is absolutely
Fascinating.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
those-
We are going to have a whole episode all about Safe Extract because what they are doing, what the products that they have come out with, are just sort of now infiltrating the Land Rover community.
Right.
And wow, we have got to get the awareness out because it's the best recovery equipment out there.
military grade stuff. that
Just
isn't
get the
all
app.
camo.
Yeah, get the app.
Get the app.
Get the app. Get the
the
Safe
app.
Extract app. If you
What
do
a great
nothing
kit.
else,
It's
What a
Get
great
the
kit.
app and ask it how to get out of lava.
Yeah.
That is my
Exactly.
personal favorite feature of that app is
Now,
absolutely
I
fantastic.
want to say, if you've ever seen Dante's Point or Dante's Peak,
Yes.
excuse me,
Dante's Peak. Yes.
yeah, the app is incorrect. You can drive through lava.
That's right,
Oh,
exactly.
Very true. They might have to edit that.
They may have to edit it, yes. Dante's Peak. Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan drives through lava.
Yeah.
All the
Seen
time.
it.
He does it all the time, actually. Yeah. It's not just that movie. It's something he
And
does.
there was no CGI in that at all.
Not at all. Not at all. It was
No.
before CGI was invented. It actually sounds like an amazing event. I hear that you can't tell us too much about it because it's got a Fight Club sort of situation going on there, which sounds about right for those guys, mostly because of potential criminality happening around those pickles.
Yeah.
But,
Can tell you that because people have posted pictures on the internet,
Yeah.
one portion of the driving training was blindfolding, like driving blindfolded and having your passenger spot you from inside the car. And Ralph
Right.
entrusted me. I drove his 90 through the mesquite bushes on either side on this little technical, course that they had set up blindfolded with Ralph's expert guidance. And I think it was successful. It was
what you
pretty good.
didn't see on the Instagram, though, was that Ralph had an entire jar of moonshine pickles before that. So it
The
was
pickle juice.
yeah.
The pickle
It
moonshine.
was pretty intense, an intense experience. A little bit like a vision quest at
Yeah,
some point. Or spirit animals involved. Anyways, it sounds great. Toad licking. It sounds like really was a really fun weekend and super informative. And yeah, I do think that ANARC is going to do, and they want to do more things like this, right, Ralph? And that's something that they're very active
That's on the
in.
radar. And
Yeah.
again, to everyone out there, give feedback.
Yeah.
Let Bob or let ANARC, let the board know. Send them a message. They are actively looking for the stuff that these clubs and or members want to do. And again, this was a little bit of an experiment, and it came out incredibly well. But it goes to show you the value just alone of some medical stuff.
Yeah.
Stop the bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got Stop the Bleed certified while we were there. It was incredible. We learned how to
mean
pack
put a tourniquet on? I got you.
Yeah.
It is
I
wild to know that we're all out here in this wilderness sometimes, and I'll be the first to admit it. Like, I would not know the first thing to do, and yes, I may not be the first one to jump into an open wound, but I know what to do.
Right.
I know how much packing you need to
A lot.
as much as you
Yeah,
can.
all of it.
A lot.
But having that confidence makes me want to go back and get my first aid training, certification, and we all need that stuff. So that alone was just this major eye opener.
I am Start the Bleed certified. I'll tell you.
Yes, Start the Bleed certified. Yeah. Anyone that works around Ike needs to be Stop the Bleed certified.
Amount of pictures I have on my phone of all of Ike's random injuries at the shop.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah, so it's probably good that Jenna is now Stop the Bleed certified studio over there.
Exactly.
Liza,
Jenna knows exactly what to do.
Linus, he loses a limb quarterly, so it's just how it is.
But
over
he's
there.
like a lizard and it grows
It
back.
grows back. Yeah, it grows back.
Just a little weirder, but
Yeah,
there's like a seam and it's a little different texture. Yeah.
Explains a lot.
Yeah, it explains the overalls. But on that, I think we'll wrap this up. Ralph has been gracious enough to stay on with us for a little while. We're going to do next week's episode in a stunning doubleheader here this afternoon. And but we'll let Liza and jump into her rally car is idling outside and race off into the
Take your
distance.
pick. Yeah, take your
absolutely.
pick. Can I just add one thing? I Googled while we were sitting here, the traditional anniversary, stones and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah,
So everyone knows the 10th anniversary maybe is a diamond anniversary, but traditionally was an aluminum anniversary.
No.
How amazing is
No
that?
way.
Yeah, tin or aluminum, but aluminum is in there.
Aluminum.
Yes.
Aluminium.
Boom.
Yeah,
Boom.
boom, mic drop.
That's
Aluminum
interesting. I did not know
anniversary.
that. Yeah, that's
Aluminum
from like a time when aluminum was like really difficult to produce and very precious.
Yeah.
And it's also why the little peak on top of the Washington Monument, I believe it is aluminum.
That's
Oh, really?
interesting.
Yeah, because it used to be like super expensive to make it because like in a time before
Yeah.
readily available electricity, it was difficult to refine bauxite into aluminum. Anyway, that's boring. See y'all later.
Well, there you go.
On that note,
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thanks everyone this week, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
thank you.
The Underpowered Hour is produced by Liza Barris, Ike Goss, and me, Steve Barris. Pavel Svardov composed and performed our theme music. Consider supporting the show on Patreon, and if you already do, thank you. Your support makes the show possible. For even more, check out our Instagram or Facebook.